Hello, everybody, and that's a good start. Welcome to WCCF Tech. I may have got the Rona again. I hope I have, maybe. Yeah.
Oh
No.
You got
Francesco's ejaculating.
no! No, I just said no.
So, yeah, WCCF Tech podcast. I am back from Gamescom. I returned yesterday as when we're recording now. So I had 3 days in the press, business, whatnot sector doing back-to-back meetings, previews, blah blah blah, which will all get written up. And I'm joined by Francesco, who is not showing his video face thing today.
No, thank the phone, or rather, thank Discord. Then.
And Alessio, who never shows his face.
Yeah, he just wanted to copy me, and that's the real reason.
Yeah, I
Bloody
wanted to
Italians.
feel the thrill. I wanted to feel the thrill of talking at a screen with no face.
Oh no, I will have to remember to flip my microphone up when I start coughing. Probably killing everybody's eardrums here. So yeah, in fact we'll move on to Gamescom as the second topic, because what you just mentioned, Francesco, is a good quick opener. Talk about PlayStation.
Yeah, so Sony announced that it is raising the price. Actually, they haven't said when, but I think it's with immediate effect. They're raising the price of the PlayStation 5, both digital edition and the regular one, in some major markets in Europe, Canada, Japan, and I think a few other places. I think
UK.
Not the US.
Yeah, not the US.
Not in the US.
I don't get that. Why?
Well, I think in the US they're not feeling that confident against Microsoft. I think.
Well, they have more competition, yeah, against Microsoft.
In Europe, they don't have much, and
that's a shame.
That's probably it. And I don't think they were too happy to make that to make this. To be honest, to increase the price, because this is just, even if it's not that much, and people haven't been able to buy a PlayStation 5 at retail price since it released, it's not really a major change, but it's bad PR, and Microsoft can spin this in so many ways.
Yeah, it's irritating.
It's interesting because the following day a few stories started circulating on websites like GamesRadar and others that there were mostly complaints in Japan, actually, because many Japanese players were unhappy, mostly because they were looking forward to playing Final Fantasy 16 on PS5, but now that's going to be more difficult, actually, because I think the price increase is even larger in Japan than it is in Europe. And I mean, some of them even went as far as asking Square Enix to make the game available on PC as well right away, instead of the usual delay. So that's...
don't think that's going to happen because it's already been paid for.
Yeah, but it's telling that even Japanese players ask for a PC version of the game. It's a new world in a way. It's not really.
I suppose, though, just looking at the Japanese price, it's not. It's about the equivalent of £100 cheaper than it is here in the UK. So it's not that big of a bloody issue.
Well, you have to think that living in Japan costs a lot compared to here.
Yeah.
And we don't know if they're suffering from the same inflation that we are. But if they are, it's going to be very bad.
Also, I think the yen has been, doing badly compared to the usual.
So I read some analysts saying that this was Sony made this decision due to the dollar increasing in value over pretty much every other currency.
Right.
Like it's on par with euro now. So that's probably one of the reasons. Is they just
I think
probably
the
why
end
the
user
Japanese
keeping the
yen
margins.
Yeah.
Keeping the margins.
That's a bollock. I mean, have they got the supply for everything still? I don't know.
Well, availability has improved because you still can find it in shops, at least here, but it's easier to find online.
Yeah.
And only bundles though. The console by itself is still difficult to find.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose it's just a shame. It's a shame. And then the US price isn't moving at all, the slack bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if, for example, if euro started, making a comeback on the dollar, and, it used to be worth more than $1 until a few months ago, maybe it could be cheaper for European customers to actually import an US console at that point, because cheaper price and possibly cheaper currency if things go back to
Then
previous.
again, I'm just thinking now, the one difference with the US is that when you buy something in the US, you have to then add the sales tax on top of that. So the prices we see for the UK, for Europe, and all that includes the tax price. So it's probably not too dissimilar. Yeah, depending on what these taxes, wherever you're buying it from.
Yeah, that depends from state to state. So
yeah. So okay, I think it's not the best move by Microsoft increasing prices, but they're a company. They're obviously looking and thinking we need to keep our profit margins up. It's par for the course.
By Sony, not Microsoft.
Yeah, they're all the same.
But they're blaming it on the inflation, of course. But I think it's another point where Microsoft is leveraging its considerable, power in terms of just how big it is compared to Sony, in that they don't need to have those margins as much as Sony, so they don't need to increase the price at this point. So we'll see if it makes a significant difference. I don't know, but
well, we'll see then.
I don't think it will, because people are buying the PlayStation 5 for the games, not just because it's more affordable.
I do think one of the issues will be, though, they may end up realizing they're pricing themselves out because, well, the world's heading for a bit of a cost of living crisis. Or at least the UK is, anyway. Nobody in the UK will be able to buy one
Europe too.
I say, in the UK, nobody will be able to buy one. We're going to struggle to be able to buy sandwiches soon. Oh, well. So, we've talked on that. Let's, fun times. Fuck capitalism. And speaking of fucking capitalism, let's talk about a very capitalist thing, Gamescom.
Yeah.
So, go on.
Yeah, my main curiosity is what was Gamescom like compared to, pre-COVID Gamescom. In terms of just the general sides of it, how many people were there, and what did you think?
So, I didn't venture into the public area because I've already seen enough people in the business and press areas. Though I saw the public massing in on the second day, because the press is Wednesday to Friday. Public start on Thursday through to Sunday. So when I saw the public coming through on the Thursday, there were masses and masses and crowds, and leaving each afternoon, you saw how many. Yeah, it looked massive. Do I think there may be fewer people go? Potentially, but I don't think it's going to be such a massive drop that it stops them from returning. Well, we know they're going to return again next year, so that's already been decided. From a point of view of me, there were less companies there. We know that. Microsoft did show up. They weren't showing so they were doing a big showcase in one of the public booths for the press, essentially letting the press get early access to the public booth, which you would have got anyway. Doing a big showcase, but I had meetings already, so I didn't go to that. They did have a little booth in the business area where I saw a few titles. So Microsoft kept roughly the same sort of kept roughly the same sort of viewing. EA didn't show up, we know that. Sony, no shows.
Yeah, Nintendo as well, I think.
Yeah. I don't know why. I seem to think that I thought Ubisoft weren't showing up, but they did have a booth there. So, I mean, I didn't. Gone.
As far as I've been told by PR, it was just for business, business to business conversations, not with the press. At least that's what they told me.
Okay, well, I suppose so. Yeah, because they were definitely showing off Skull and Bones and Rollerblade Champions. Yeah, I suppose the biggest thing is the sheer size and scope of what Embracer had on offering. THQ Nordic had a massive booth. PlayOn, formerly Koch Media, a massive booth. In fact, they had two booths.
PlayOn even won the Best Lineup Award, the Future Award.
I can understand that. They had I spent quite a few hours with them on the end of Friday, so I saw quite a few different titles. In fact, I will be able to talk about them because the embargo's Monday and this goes out after Monday. So, I mean, I got hands-on with Last Story Crew, which I liked the look of beforehand. Floodland, which I really like the look of. That's a very good city building looking game. Scars Above, which is interesting. There's a number of different Soulsy-like games, I would say. But yeah, Scars Above it'll be an interesting title. The Chant, which that's weird, very weird. Horror game, but quite very overtly psychological style. Well, based on psychology, we'll put it that way, because it's all part of some sort of weird cult. Yeah, System Shock, which I didn't like that much, so we'll leave that as that. Yeah, I mean, there's so many titles, and I didn't get a chance to see them all. I wanted to look at a game called Made to Anomalies, but I didn't get the chance. And yeah, they had such a massive lineup, and when you look at Embracer, how many different entities they've got now. I mean, THQ Nordic, they had so many games there as well. And I got to try AEW Fight Forever, which is looking like it will actually be a good wrestling game, which is nice because the WWE games have been shit. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's so many games. Oh, I also got hands on with Dying Light 2, which.
Dying Light. You mean Dead Island 2?
Yes, Dead Island 2. They're all the same. Well, they are the same.
Zombies. They all have zombies.
I'm gonna say it's fast-paced zombie, hacky, killy, zombie. So I got hands-on with Dead Island 2, and yeah, it sort of has ruined the name of it though. It's not set on an island, so I don't know if to give it 0 out of 10 for false advertising.
From what we've read, they've been saying that the combat is especially good, especially the melee combat. Lots of hacking and slashing.
I'm going to say yes. From what I got to play, yes, it's very much back to proper Dead Island, hacky slashy, fun times combat with some weird, however many weird zombie types you've got, the bosses. I got absolutely molested by a boss in the gameplay I tried. I mean, I got told that it's rare for some people to get to the boss, so at least I got to the boss and then got molested by the boss. So there we go. Yeah, fast, fluid, frantic, very colourful, looks fun. I'm going to play it. I like the first Dead Island, so I need to play the second Dead Island. I suppose it's interesting that when you think about the development cycle of Dead Island 2 and the hell it's gone through, this version that they're doing now completely started fresh with about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like done a Duke Nukem Forever and just kept piling shit on.
Yeah, and they've said that it's not an open world, right? It's as far as I've read, it's separate areas.
I didn't get to see that part, to be honest. They just dropped us in an area. I would say, from the looks of it, it looks like it's got big areas. So I mean, it may be similar to the Metro. I honestly don't know. They didn't really talk about that part or show us any of that.
That makes sense because there are too many games that are open world just for the sake of being open world.
Yeah,
if it's tighter, it's a good thing.
And to be fair, I agree with that. I've been sort of falling out with open worlds over time anyway. But yeah, so I mean, there's so many games I've seen. Standout ones. Again, I don't know if I can talk about them. I'm just going to say standout ones, and if I get in trouble for mentioning the names, then so be it. Wanted Dead it was very fun. I'm looking forward to that, even though I'm crap at that, the fast-paced hacky slashy Devil May Cry style games. To be fair, I picked that up quite quickly, very intuitive. So yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, that Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader for people who can't see it, from Halcat. It's Halcat, so yeah, looking forward to that. Hyenas. I really enjoyed the look of it. Didn't get hands-on, but I did enjoy the look of it. Company of Heroes 3. It's Company of Heroes. It's played fantastic. It played like Company of Heroes, but it's got the added overworld strategic map element being added to it. So that will be again Company of Heroes 3. Great. Yeah, I could keep going. Another one I wrote a lot about, which was announced, called Meet Your Maker. That quite interesting. Asymmetrical, asynchronous multiplayer game. Did any of you ever try what was the Ubisoft game? The something Quest for Epic Loot or whatever?
The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think of
you
something.
basically raided other people's castles in that game.
Yeah. So in this, essentially, you can raid other people's outposts for material, and you also create your own. And then there's quite a lot of detail that goes into it. Like, its material runs out, then you can't use that outpost. But if that outpost got enough kills from what you've set up, and got enough likes from players, or if they've given comments, you'll get experience for that outpost, letting you prestige it to renew it and give it more building quantity blocks sort of thing. Yeah, it looked a really interesting game, and I want to try the closed alpha, so I'm going to try the closed alpha. Other than that,
you're going to play with other people.
No, you don't have to play with other people. What you do is you create an outpost which murders other people. You never have to see them. Or you raid other people's outposts, and you never have to see them.
So it's the Chris Ray's perfect game.
Essentially, it's the perfect multiplayer game where other people are involved, but you never have to associate or interact with other people.
The only interaction is violence, because violence is always the answer.
Well, I mean, you're violent against the things they've done anyway. Yeah, I mean, I could go on. I mean, Frontier, I went to see the Great War, Western Front by Petroglyph, and that really looked good. Didn't get hands on, but it's Petroglyph, former CNC. Met the audio director Frank Klepacki. For Command and Conquer fans, everybody knows him. Yeah, I've seen so many games, and I'm just writing previews, not reviews, previews now.
Okay, I'll just ask some stuff myself then, since you have seen too many games to remember them all at once. But no, seriously, one of the, I think, most well-received games, well, at least in terms of trailers, that is, but even from the hands-on that I've read on other websites, was Lies of P. So what did you think of it?
That's the problem. My appointment got scrapped, so I didn't get a chance.
Oh.
Yeah, another Gamescom thing. It happens. They ended up having to go to the Microsoft booth. The people, so yeah. So
that's disappointing. Yeah.
It is disappointing, but it is Gamescom. It's happened to us all. We make things, but sometimes it happens. I did go to the booth and see if they had time to put me in elsewhere, but everything where they had people, it was completely packed. So that's that. It's always a danger. It's always a danger.
Did you saw Outcast 2? I think you had it in your appointment.
Outcast 2. That was THQ Nordic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, I did see that. I did see that, and yeah, that looked interesting. The way the open world. I'm trying to find my notes while I do this. The open world sort of interacts with whatever you do. You've got multiple villages what you can visit, and essentially you've got a big flying elephant thing, which will be your pet.
Oh.
And as you do more things, you'll help that grow. The world reacts to you. You get more skills based on the villagers you've helped and how you've progressed with them. You can obviously make enemies. So yeah, it's quite interesting how they've involved exploration as well, because you've got like a weird hand glider thing. So they've put a lot of verticality in the world and exploration. So it does feel like does feel and look like a detailed world from what they've shown. Massive wide variety of biomes to go through, and what I liked is the aesthetic choice, where it's colourful, it's vibrant, and it's not. So that means it won't age too quickly. Which I always think is probably one of the best ways to do it.
It's also quite a unique setting in terms of sci-fi.
Yes, yeah. Adelpha, the world is called, which I wonder if they just took Philadelphia and just decided to take a few letters away, but whichever. Yeah, so I mean they involved a lot of fans in the development of the fans of the original in the development of this game, with Appeal Studios actually hiring one of the biggest fans who made mods and kept like the original working. So yeah, so they've had a lot of involvement with the fans.
I don't think they are a big studio anyway, so if they can make a big hit, it will be a surprise in a way.
suppose what I do like as well is they're not trying to overburden you with things. So, unless I'm mistaken, there's only 2 weapons in the game, but you've got a massive variety of customization options to. So essentially, those 2 weapons become like 500 weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
quite. From what was shown, can't say it will be that because it wasn't hands-on. Yeah, everything in the world simulated. Your actions what you're doing quests do have an impact on the world, which will make it change. And yeah, I mean the combat system looked fun in the way that you can combine different skills in a sort of Bioshocky way to an extent, where you use like a levitation wet thing that sends your enemies up in the sky, and then you can use you can just simply shoot a explosive barrel if you want next to the floating enemies, or use some sort of another chain skill which will hit them all while they're up in the air and defenseless. And yeah, it all looked quite interesting.
Did they say when they are planning to release it? Roughly.
No, didn't give me a date. All they've said is they're close to beta.
Okay.
So it'll
maybe,
be 2023.
Yeah, for sure. But maybe I think in the first half, probably, if would be maybe. Okay, let's see. Among the focus on games, I think you had a look at Plague Tale, right? That's also very anticipated.
No. If you remember the email that they're sending. Oh no, I can't. No, can I? Oh shit! I don't know if I can talk about that.
Oh.
I saw something, but we had a.
It's a division.
I don't know if we can say that. I don't know if I can even say this. No, I don't think I can say this.
No.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do a PR thing there and say I can't possibly comment.
Is that for all of the focus on titles or just
No,
this title?
just Plague Tale.
Okay, then let's move on to. Did you see Atlas Fallen? Because that was also interesting.
Yes, I saw Atlas Fallen, and as far as I'm aware, there is no embargo on that. But what I will do before I talk about Atlas Fallen, while I search for any sort of embargo, is talk about Evil West.
Okay.
because I'm now searching for an embargo on Atlas Fallen. Well, so Evil West looked interesting. I know Kai's previewed it before. I got to see a different sort of the gameplay to Kai. And yeah, I quite enjoyed Evil West from what was played. It's you can tell the inspiration from Devil May Cry. That was the first question I pretty much asked while I was fighting. Is like, is this inspired by Devil May Cry? Which it was, which I am not shocked by. As you're playing, so the combat system is quite simple. You've got a 6-shooter for just general shooting. If you aim and shoot, it's a rifle, and then you have a melee attack. But the way you can combine these, uppercutting people, pull out your 6-shooter, blast the living shit out of the vampires while they're up in the sky, it's all pretty normal. It's what you expect from a game like that. It's not a complete Souls-like, but it isn't too easy. Sort of half and half, I'd probably say. Yeah, give it.
By the way, this is something that I always wonder when I see character action games from Western studios. How does it play? I mean, does it feel snappy like the Japanese games, or sometimes they have issues with animations that it doesn't feel not as snappy.
So it's intentionally more sluggish. It's intentionally slower. It's not insanely fast paced like Devil May Cry, but you can tell the inspiration with the juggling, with the style of combat. So it's I suppose the way you could best say it is it's a more deliberate style of Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
So with Devil May Cry, I would just randomly hack and slash like a bloody nutter because I'm crap at them.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you're thinking about what you're doing. You can actually plan your moves, and the way combat is formed does help with. So it gives you sort of little hints. You can do finishing moves by weakening an enemy with your gun from a bit of range, charge in, use a melee attack for a finishing move, give yourself some health back. For a bit more of an element, if you're quick enough, if an enemy's about to attack you, they'll have a little glowing weak spot, we'll call it. If you manage to hit them there with the gun, don't know if it works with melee. If you manage to hit them there with the gun, you'll do massive damage, lightly kill them to a very gory finishing, sort of comically gory thing. And it feels all quite suitable with the setting and everything. The weird vampire in the Western setting. It's quite linear, but that's not an issue. There's only a few side elements. You've got upgradable stuff by collecting gold as you go through. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I managed to get to the side boss, which is a very early side boss in the game, and it was challenging, but I managed to beat it, which, good, yay me. I'm one of the few that did. So I'm good at gameplay things. Atlas Fallen. I have decided from looking at this, where there's no mention of an embargo, that I can talk about it, so I will talk about it.
I've read impressions from other websites, so you probably can.
Fair enough. Why did you not just tell me that?
I was just thinking about it now while you were talking about Evil West.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Bloody hell. Yeah, so it's not an open world. That's one of the first things to say. It's a linear structured game, so you're following a narrative. But the impression I get is, again, nobody got hands on its impressions from just a preview trailer. Well, talking through it. It sounds Metro Exodus-y, where you're moving on a linear path, but you've got larger areas each time you go. The combat looked quite interesting, where from the looks of it, you've got no set weapons. They sort of change on the fly as you're using, essentially, as you're mashing attack. 1 second you'll be hitting them with a hammer made of sand, the next you'll be hitting with a scythe made of sand, the next will be, a large penis extension made of sand.
I think it's a gauntlet that morphs sand in different ways.
It is. That's it. So the narrative story is that you're just this random pleb who manages to find a magical gauntlet, and you are going to try and, well, fight the sun god that's ruling over Atlas. Yeah, this gauntlet lets you control sand, so the movement's quite interesting. How you can surf on the sand. It's just a bit of a reminder of Dragon Ball, actually. Yeah, the combat looked interesting. Where, like I said, you've got all this. And momentum is a key element. Where the more you're fighting, the more damage you're doing, the more you're getting. By the set looks of it, you're gaining momentum, which makes you stronger, but also means you receive more damage. So it's quite a bit of a balancing act, which could be interesting. But the more you gain,
sounds like a berserker. When you are a berserker, you do more damage, but you also take more damage. Yeah, that's the usual thing.
Yeah, it does. And then, of course, as you gain more momentum, then you will be able to use special moves, special abilities, by using this momentum. as you're doing that, you'll so these are like your little semi-open worlds as you're moving through the linear path. They have got open world elements, so destroying shrines, collecting materials. You'll find what they call essence stones, which lets you craft into the gauntlet to unlock new skills and improve your combat options. And from what was said, because you've got a variety of biomes, despite the fact that it's a big sandy planet, the biomes will offer different enemy types, and based on the enemy type, you'll have a variety of different the way you'll have to face each enemy looks different. Where I think I never watched the trailer, but I'm guessing it's the same thing where you see a big crab monster, which looked multi-stage enemies, and that didn't even look like a boss to me. So yeah, it's Then as you're unlocking more abilities, you'll also unlock the ability to explore the environment further. So yeah, it's got exploration, it's got interesting looking combat, a nice looking setting, and sounds interesting. So yeah, I like the look of it.
And I think it also
good.
retains, I think, the classic the surge elements where you can basically rip parts of the monsters. I think that's
I think that was sort of like the multi-part thing, where you're targeting different things. They have said like where you like your souls like stuff from the surge and whatnot being quite difficult. This is going to have essentially an easy mode, an exploration mode, which will make it very easy and more accessible for people. So I suppose
I am happy because
they're saying it's not a Souls-like, but it seems a bit like a Souls-like.
Yeah, I think they are making, well, at least other previews they've said that it's apparently more inspired by something like God of War or Horizon than a Souls-like. But of course,
I would say that
it still has some elements of a Souls-like, I think, and maybe in the hard mode it will be still very challenging. And but I'm personally happy that there are more accessible modes. For example, I couldn't really get into the Surge for this, so
the first one was very challenging.
Yeah, I played them both, so yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, I mean, they're the I did also from Focus. I did also see Aliens: Dark Descent, which it's like it's got a bit of XCOM on the wider XCOM ideas on the wider thing. It's probably the best way I could look at it is like Red Solstice 2, where you've got the general overall strategy parts of it, but then when you get into the fight, it's essentially just Alien Breed or one of those top-down tactical shootery things, real-time. Yeah, or maybe no Bullet Hell. I don't know. It's just one of those games. Red Solstice 2. It's Red Solstice 2, but aliens. I like the look of it, but at the same time, I had and when I write the preview, I'll say the same thing. Is my one concern is that the Xenomorphs were just charging at your characters. I didn't, it was hands off, so hopefully they'll change that by then. But to me, the Xenomorphs do not just get up and charge at people. They are angry, bitey bastards that sneak in the floors and up the walls and on the roofs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of details there, and I'll go into more when I write the preview. But yeah, I suppose permadeath stuff. It's got stress levels which impact on the combat. It's got a big variety of things. I suppose it's more just the setting which makes me think, don't use Xenomorphs if you're just going to have them charge at you. That just means it's alien colonial marines, but top down.
And I think you also saw Eye on Life, right? How was that?
I enjoyed that. I did. I enjoyed that. I chuckled. I laughed. It's colourful. It's comical. You've got a gun that swears at you, a gun that tells you off for killing a kid. And I mean, I don't know why it would tell you off for that. It refused to do it at first. Tell me I'm not going to kill the kid. I'm like, yeah, you are. And he did eventually. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's it. It's very interactive with the way it works on the environment. You can tell the slapstick comedy. You can tell the inspiration. You've got simple multiple dialogue choices. It's a shooter. It's a shooter. It's fun. It's fast, and the world looks interesting. I don't know how open certain areas are going to be. Hopefully, they will be. And I managed to get to the boss at the end of the demo. And did I beat it? Yes, I beat the boss as well. So there we go. That was another demo preview I managed to finish where others didn't. So yay me.
Did they give you a teddy bear or something?
They did not.
They could have done worse, like a teddy bear that swears at you.
I would have loved
that. Would have been that would have been great. That would have been great.
I would have loved that, but no, they didn't. But yeah, same as I said when it was first shown at the Xbox show thing. That's one of the games that really looked interesting to me and appealed to me, and getting hands-on with it still does. And that's more. You know how jaded I am when it comes to games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those games that inspires sympathy in a way, and joy.
It just stands out
from
the grey stuff that everyone is making.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, what else is there?
I think there was also Obsidian's Pentiment.
And yes, there was.
Very unique from the looks of it.
Very unique. Yeah, so you've got the RPG elements where you're picking multiple character attributes at the start. Not a massive amount I can really say about that. We've all played those games where you're picking attributes which impacts on the level of skill you've got in certain things. You know, if you understand, for one example, it will let you. You know, you had a history in Italy. Your character worked in Italy, in the north of Italy, so you understand part of Italian and you understand certain Italian traditions or rules. So there you go. That's for you. The map style was interesting. The art style, everything's just sort of. So it's not we've seen it's not a third-person RPG. It's not one of that. It's not side-scrolling, or it's like side-scrolling. Yeah.
It looks like it's in a book, basically. It looks like you're in a book.
Yeah, very much like that. It's almost side-scrolling in nature, but with a tiny bit of, if you're going left, you've got a fork where you can go left and down, left and up, keep going left, that sort of thing. Yeah, the part I got to play, essentially, there was a dead body, and I just had to talk to a few people, ask a few questions. There's multiple dialogue options. A part of it will be based on what you've found already. Part of it's based on your character skills and backstory and such as that. And eventually I just, I looked at a priest checking a corpse and just figuring out how the corpse was killed. And that was the end of the demo.
Mm-hmm.
I like the look of it. It's Obsidian. It'll probably have a good story.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's unique in that it has no combat, so it's kind of Disco Elysium-like. Also, they've said that basically you can accuse anyone, and the game won't really tell you if you picked the right guy or not. So it's
Okay,
interesting
that'll
in
be
that way.
interesting.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
And also, well, the creator Josh Sawyer, who was created games like Pillars of Eternity, Fallout New Vegas. It was basically his pet project for a long time. He was like, actually, it's interesting because I've read that he was basically researching his own history, because I think some of his family came from Germany, so he used to research German history, and basically he said, I've been looking to make this game for a long time, but I can now just because of Game Pass, in a way, because Game Pass lets them experiment with this kind of games.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm just looking at the time. I don't think we've got time for me to cover every game here. Pick one last game.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe Dark Tide. Did you play that? That's also
Vermin.
big.
Yeah, I played that. Four people played It's Vermintide, but Space Marines. That's honestly the best way you can put it. It's fun, it's action packed, it's Vermintide, but 40k. I really cannot say much more than that. That's what it is. It's it looks good, it plays good, it's tight. You same as Left 4 Dead, same as Vermintide. You do rely on everybody to know their abilities and play well, and stick together. The way you progress through the maps, you've got multiple challenges, multiple objectives. You may need to escort one person carrying something to somewhere, then defend a place, and you get massive swarms of enemies. And it's Warhammer 40k, but Left 4 Dead Vermintide.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference maybe with Vermintide is supposed to be a greater focus on ranged weapons.
Yeah. Here you've got a lot of melee, and I was a melee character, so yeah, give you that part. But yeah, it's the same vein of game. If you've played Left 4 Dead, it's a 40k version of that, but faster and a bit more frantic. And you do feel like a space marine, but you do get your ass handed to you quite frequently.
I don't know, maybe the last big game on your schedule was Homeworld 3. So did you like that?
I loved it. Yeah, in fact, yes, the embargo's lifted. I will be writing about that shortly. It's Homeworld. It feels like Homeworld. It is Homeworld. The interesting way they're doing combat is that now everything you see. Or well, you've got the background sort of wallpaper that you can't interact with, but everything that's in the combat zone, which is massive, it all has a life of its own. So you can use asteroid belts to give yourself cover. Every single rocket shot, everything is a physical element. So as you're flying through an asteroid belt, a rocket might hit the asteroid. You can use terrain like the asteroid belts. You can use massive structures which have got pipes running through them, fly through there to go under and possibly pop out and flank an enemy. So it's far more not strategic, far more tactical than Homeworld's been before, and it really feels that good. It's set 15 years after Homeworld 2, and it offers a direct continuation. It will have the same sort of elements where you're a fleet moving through a certain area of space, which is trying to, well, you're essentially finding out why there's some sort of dark space which is taking over and destroying the world, the universe. Yeah, I mean the map. Like I said, the map. The thing about Homeworld, it's all about the combat for me. Yeah, you've got that. It's just the combat is fantastic. They've mentioned there's going to be a roguelike mode, which yeah, I'm not. I didn't really get to see much about that, but I mean it's compelling. It sounds interesting. But yeah,
So
so
like with permadeath.
I don't know. That's the thing. I really don't know. They just mentioned it. It didn't really go into much, but there was no hands-on with that. That's just something that they're going to talk about in the future because it's still quite a way to go. They're they're aiming for the first half of 2023, so it's not going to be the first quarter. It's not going to be. I don't think it'll be January, March. If they're aiming for the first half, you're probably looking somewhere between April and June.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, but I got to play 2 missions. They were quite, they were varied. The visuals, it looks fantastic. It's extremely detailed. The way the map works, the whole fact that it's a 3D living space, where you can fly through structures, and it just adds that level of tactical combat that's just really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess there aren't many strategy games that are set in space like Homeworld, right? I
No.
mean, so you get to take advantage of that third plane in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Exactly. So yeah, let's just quickly go on, because I've obviously not been playing anything, so let's quickly go to what you two have been playing, because all my, the vast majority of my Gamescom stuff will be wrote up and coming out in previews over the next however many weeks. I've got 2 wrote up already, and then I'm going to write up a 3rd one as soon as we're done here, possibly a 4th or 5th one later today as well.
okay. Well, I've been playing Saints Row, but unfortunately, it's not very good.
I want a copy of that.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just like the regular Lord games for the most part.
Yeah.
It didn't really improve much in any area, honestly. And even from a technical perspective, I don't think it's really that good. I mean, if you compare it to something like GTA 5 on PC with mods, then there isn't much difference in favor of Saints Row, even though it's like 9 years, younger in terms of release.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was meant to be a reboot. I think it largely failed to grab attention, and I think now Deep Silver they have to question whether Evolution is really in need of a massive overhaul or not, because it's basically the second game they've done badly. Like Agents of Mayhem was really, unsuccessful. I mean, Saints Row will probably be more successful, even just because of the name itself, but it's not really going to be a success. So I think that studio is in need of an overall going forward, or at least that's what I would do if I was.
It's a weird one that they've, it's a weird one.
It's disappointing. It's disappointing because I remember playing the original Saints Row actually, and I thought, well, this is quite the good GTA clone for a new developer, and also Volition also used to be known for something like Red Faction. At that time, they were actually at the forefront of environmental destruction technology, stuff like that. But now I don't know. That's been lost.
You know what Volition need to do to reboot themselves? Bring back Insane, the horror game that was cancelled that they were making with Del Toro way back when.
Maybe it could be a nice way, but I mean, Deep Silver and Embracer Group as a whole, they have lots of IPs,
They do.
and
Yeah.
so that's not the issue. I think the issue here is that they have to take a hard look at at the studio and see what needs to be addressed to improve the
Yeah.
quality of the games. Because I think as a whole, Embracer Group, they've got a ton of games, like you said, but they still don't have many quality games coming out. That's their
Yeah.
biggest shortcoming that they have to fix if they really want to be in the big leagues, among Ubisoft, EA, and whatever. So if they want to get there, they need to improve the quality of the games, maybe even tone down the quantity a bit, because right now it's really mostly the quantity over quality.
I suppose it's a weird one, but that as a company they don't see themselves as that though. I mean they've been very public in saying that, whereas Ubisoft, EA, Activision, they all focus on just having a select few franchises which they will just rotate and churn. Whereas, I mean, obviously, Embracer, Deep Silver, Embracer, PlayOn, THQ Nordic, they want to have those franchises, which they will keep going back to. But I think they do want to see. There are audiences for all these games. I mean, Saints Row was one of those franchises, I suppose, when we're just looking at Volition. But there are audiences for these games. I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance, that did well, and it's just a weird one. I do like, I both like and not. I like, but I'm also not sure about the direction. I do prefer a company that will take risks and give people something new, rather than just regurgitating the same shit.
I think it's a matter of perspective. I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance was certainly successful in its double A segment, I'd say. But like I said, Saints Row, by their own admission, was supposed to be a AAA game, and it's not a good AAA game. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So if you're doing a AA game, you have to do a good AA game. If you're doing a AAA game, you have to do a good AAA game. That's the thing. So
yeah, I suppose I think the weird one is that whole style of game seems to be dropping out of favor as well, to an extent. I mean, what was it? Just Cause. That ended up falling out of favor, and they weren't terrible games as they went on. I'm not, obviously, this new Saints Row isn't, from what's been said, isn't that good. So I just do seem to think it's the style of game just seems to be falling out of favor slowly.
I think it's the open world fatigue is starting to set in for a lot of people.
It's certainly
even if you add some if you tweak it a bit, okay, but it's basically the same thing over and over. I don't think Saints Row has evolved that much since the first one. It's just bigger, and at a certain point, people are going to get tired of that.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the sales figures are, because it's the new Saints Row is the #1 selling game on the Epic Games Store, or it was recently. I suppose we don't know how many copies it's sold though, or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, it's only on the Epic Store for now, so it's on PC at least. No, but seriously, I think honestly, Embracer is trying to get there, to get more companies that are capable of producing quality games. I mean, just look at them buying Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. So those are companies that made really good games in the past, and also I think, not sure if we talked about it, or maybe not because we missed one podcast, but not too long ago, they purchased Middle Earth Enterprises. I mean, that's a pretty big statement, for a company that wants to do quality stuff, in games and even beyond games.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be interesting.
I do think they are moving slowly towards that, and let's see. It's certainly an interesting growth for a publisher. They were really small until 5 or 6 years ago, and now they are among the most active companies when it comes to acquisitions in the industry.
Yeah.
So
I suppose it's the way they're going about it, and they're making some intelligent ones. Middle Earth Enterprises, they bought them, but it's also the fact that there's so much they can make out of this. They obviously they won't have to pay the license fees for any of those characters now, but that also extends to they've got a film sector. They've got they bought Asmodee a year or two back, which is all about board games. It's having these IPs and the fact that they can utilize them in so many ways, which will benefit the company as a whole. So yeah, it's a smart way to do it. It's just that they just need to start making money to pay off the acquisitions. But we'll see. Let's go on, Francesco. Let's finish it off. What have you been playing?
Well, nothing new for me this week because there's one game. There's one game I can't talk about yet, and then I'm still playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because I'll be done with that game in 2024 probably.
You're such a tease. There's always a game you can't talk about.
Yeah, I can't talk about that. Well, I could talk about the small segment of it, but I'd rather not because I think I would end up talking about the game at large, and I'd rather not.
Fair enough.
At this time.
With Xenoblade Chronicles 3, our fellow colleague Ule gave it a 10. What do you think about that? Is it too much?
I haven't completed it. I haven't completed it yet, so I can't say. But definitely not a 10. Because right now I'm enjoying the game a lot. I'm enjoying the combat, the mechanics, and even the story. But for now, I have enjoyed Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a bit more. For now. But in these games you get the big revelations at the end for the story, like things that completely change what you have experienced earlier. So I can't really tell. I can't really say for now, but not a 10 in my opinion. It's not perfect. It has issues, and a game that runs on Switch can't get 10 anyway because performance issues are everywhere.
I mean, unless your name is Mario or Zelda, then you can get 10. Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But it's a very good game. I'm liking it, but I think I really need to complete it to say if it is the best in the series or a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You really need to experience everything in this type of game. You get the big revelations at the end. I mean, this was like for the first and the second, and even for Xenogears, it was like this. You had to play like 50 hours to start really get going. So this is the same. They have their slow play. They are slow paced. You need to get to the end, and I think I'm halfway through right now. I'm like 55 hours in, and I still have to play like 4 chapters or 3. I don't remember. So yeah, it's very long.
Okay. I'm definitely not going to be picking it up anytime soon. I'll never finish it.
Yeah.
Well, folks, you can go to the website and read some Chris articles on Gamescom. Make sure to do that.
There will be many writings coming out over the next few weeks. On that, read the site, listen to me yammer on, read me yammering on, and we will see you all next week. See you in a bit.